Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Let's get into it. Let's go down a USAID rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. There's been some developments.
And civil servants with USAID are going to be put on leave. This comes after they lost access to email and security clearances earlier this week.
And now USAID or USAID headquarters and annex offices in the D.C. area remain closed. 7 News' John Gonzalez is live outside the headquarters there on Pennsylvania Avenue this morning with what this Friday deadline, John, means for so many in our area.
And you know, Megan, some already got the bad news. Dozens of USAID senior officials and thousands of contractors have already been laid off this week, and staffers have been notified to not show up here at the agency's headquarters in downtown Washington. Well, we know that hundreds rallied here downtown yesterday. Take a look at some of the video. Starting tomorrow, employees who are stationed around the world will be placed on leave and ordered to return to the U.S. A statement posted on the USAID website says personnel responsible for mission-critical functions, core leadership, and designated programs will be exempt. Now, the directive comes as the Trump administration says it is targeting government fraud, waste, and abuse, dismantling the agency and stopping pretty much all foreign aid. The move has caused confusion and chaos, and many local Democrats are raising questions about legalities here.
American paid for medicine rotting because we've cut off all of that assistance. I believe it's illegal. I believe it is morally wrong. It is also against our national security, and we're going to continue to put as much pressure as possible to try to bring some sunlight to this process. Elon Musk and his gang should not be defunding or programs by name on the basis of a tweet.
Now, the agency is preparing a plan for personnel posted outside of the United States, saying under which the agency would arrange and pay for return travel to the United States within 30 days and then terminate contracts that are deemed non-essential.
So that is what was going on, and it turns out that they went through with it. They are closing down the Washington headquarters. They are taping over it. This is done. They're taking down the signs in the front of the building. They are taping over everything that they can possibly tape over. Here's another clip of it going on. They're putting tape all over it. They're making sure that this is closed down. You can see here, right at the front door, they're putting tape over it because this is shut down. The Washington office has been shut down. The people are on leave, but there's also there's a development with that as well that we're going to get into. Just wanted to show you these images because at the end of the day, given what they were doing, this is actually a beautiful image. There's probably a reason why they're both taking turns here putting the tape over, because I'm sure these are probably some people that are pretty happy about this whole thing. For all I know, those are Doge members. I don't even know. Now, this is what had to happen. Let's just venture into a world where what this gentleman said in the first clip, where he's like, oh, this is national security and, this needs to be, you got to unfreeze these programs and whatnot. Let's just venture into a world where that's true. If you knew, as the people who were in charge of this whole thing, if you knew that there were some programs that were detrimental to the lives of children or, disenfranchised people, other nations, if you knew that that was true, then you shouldn't have dug such a deep hole in waste that this had to happen, because this was an audit and they're starting to figure out, what? These guys don't like to answer questions. They don't like to act like they are actually a government agency. They like to act like they work for themselves. That gentleman's just like, oh, we're going to put pressure and get these things back going. Like, you can't just do that. This is audit time. There's too much waste. They've discovered too much waste. And that's the thing that a lot of these Democrats don't understand, is that the waste has been uncovered. So to try and turn around and be like, this is for the children and this is for this place and this is for that place, everybody already knows that there are trans operas that you're paying for, trans comic books in Peru. Everybody knows you're paying $50 million for tourism in Egypt. They know about all the waste. There's actually a sock pairing program. That was a real thing. Everybody's heard about what's going on with the K-cups and this and that. Everybody's heard about the crazy amount of spending. So there's no more room to say, hey, come on, for good causes, come on. You can't be trusted anymore. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they have to get it back to a place where that organization can be trusted. They're trying to put a lot of employees on leave. There's going to be a little bit of a development with that in the next few clips, but I just want to play what Vivek has to say about this whole thing.
I think it was shameful that
of course I have it on double speed. I give you a good rant like that, and then I go to a clip, and it's just Alvin and the Chipmunks time. Every time I do that, I'll get better.
when you hear about Politico getting paid by the Biden people $26 million, does that make sense?
Of course it doesn't make sense, and that's part of the point of why it's been so non-transparent, Jesse. The idea of foreign aid, in some sense, I don't think we should be using our taxpayer dollars even to help people in foreign countries when we should be helping our own citizens here at home first. But the irony is it's not even going to help starving children in Africa or poor people in other countries. That's just the smokescreen and the excuse to actually carry out a political agenda through the back door. I think it was shameful that we're finding about state-funded media here in the United States. But I think equally bad is the fact that we're using that USAID, that foreign aid industrial complex, to push progressive ideas, LGBTQIA plus agendas, woke and DEI agendas, onto foreign countries that cause people in those other countries to actually hate the United States for values that most Americans don't even share. In some ways, it's the financial cost that's bad, but that's the least of it. It's actually the other effects of that illicit foreign aid that's hurting the United States even geopolitically in other ways. I'm glad it's coming to an end. We've had 4 years to complain about this. Now we've had 2 weeks, soon 3 and 4 weeks to actually fix the problem. That's why the people sent Donald Trump in, not for incremental change, Jesse, but for sweeping change. And that's what he's delivering.
All right. He's sweeping out the fraud, too. Vivek Ramaswamy, thanks for coming on.
Yeah. So well said. Well said. And, there's more to this whole thing. I'm going to play Marco Rubio talking about this issue because, again, there's a lot of protests you're seeing. There's a lot of people saying this is a terrible thing. These programs have to be put back into action. But when you start hearing from Vivek and what he has to say, Marco Rubio, I really like his perspective because he's someone who's tried to deal with this before. I don't have the clip, but I even saw a clip of Matt Gaetz from 2023 trying to get the spending cut down by $4.5 billion. And they were fighting him on that. It's just been going on for the longest time.
So you're now the head of USAID. The head of Doge, Elon Musk, called USAID a criminal organization and added that it is time for it to die. Do you agree with that?
Let me walk you through the history of this agency. It was created as a way of doing humanitarian assistance in the world, separate from the State Department at the time. But it said you have to take policy direction from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, the White House, and all elements of government. They have basically evolved into an agency that believes that they're not even a U.S. government agency, that they are a global charity, that they take the taxpayer money and they spend it as a global charity, irrespective of whether it is in the national interest or not in the national interest. So they just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe and not the United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable. President put a pause on all foreign aid. We go to USAID, which is a big chunk of foreign aid, $40 billion or so. They're completely uncooperative. They won't tell you what the programs are. They refuse to answer questions. They try to push through payments. Even after the executive order, they were still trying to push money through the system.
Can it be reformed or does it need to die?
Well, that was always the goal, was to reform it. But now we have rank insubordination. Now we have basically an active effort where their basic attitude is we don't work for anyone. We work for ourselves. No agency of government can tell us what to do. So the president made me the acting administrator, and we're going to go through the same process at USAID as we're going through now at the State Department. This is not about getting rid of foreign aid. There are things that we do through USAID that we should continue to do. That makes sense. And we'll have to decide, is that better through the State Department or is that better through something, a reformed USAID? That's the process we're working through. There are things that are happening at USAID that we should not be involved in funding, or that we have a lot of questions about, but they're completely uncooperative. So we had no choice but to take dramatic steps to bring this thing under control.
So just remember, that's what's happening at the heart of everything, is that they were just... I've gone over this on my main channel. I made a video about this as well because Joe Rogan did comment on it. But the fact that they're just like, we're just not answering. We're not telling you. The fact that they actually, Doge approached them and said, we would like to know how you spend your money. Can we see what's going on? And two people who were just under the head administrator at the time before he resigned, they go, no, we're not showing you anything. And Elon Musk is like, well, I'm Elon Musk. Doge, I don't know if you... Doge, this is big balls here. We need to see what you're doing. And they were like, no. So they had to put those two people on leave and then bar them from their emails. Like, this is how corrupt this whole thing is. And again, alleged corruption, but they're acting like it's so corrupt. It's weird. They're acting like they have something to hide. Then they go to the head person and they say, hey, don't know what happened there. We just need to see what's going on with the money and the spending. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm resigning. And they're like, what is happening? We just want to audit this organization. And they end up having to put 100 people on leave. And now it's turned into thousands. And we're going to get into that in a second, because apparently, Trump wanted to do quite a bit of putting people on leave. I want to say, I think 2,200 have been put on hold. I think Trump wanted to do something like 9,000. So there's a whole bunch, and it all developed today, which is why I don't have a huge grasp on it yet, because it just happened a couple of hours ago. But I'm going to walk you through it as I can.
President Trump's latest move in his campaign pledge to slash the size of the federal government. All employees at the U.S. Agency for International Development, which distributes foreign aid, receiving this email saying most staff will be placed on administrative leave at noon Friday.
Hey, ho, ho, Elon Musk has got to go!
Democrats protesting the cuts quarterbacked by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency.
We don't pledge allegiance to Elon Musk.
We are here to fight back. No one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
While Republicans defending Musk.
USAID has got to actually serve the interests of American foreign policy. It ought to be to promote the interests and well-being of the American people, not some left-wing woke agenda.
Musk posting overnight, Democrats' quote, hysterical reactions are how you know that Doge is doing work that really matters. This is the one shot the American people have to defeat bureaucracy. In another cost-cutting move.
Wild. And Elon Musk is 100% correct. The way that they are reacting, I mean, they got in front of the building and started protesting. They started saying this is Elon Musk is not elected, that he's seizing power. They're not explaining how he's seizing power, what exactly it is that he's doing. They're saying he's unelected. But saying he's unelected is like saying Marco Rubio's unelected. It's like he's appointed by the president. And they've made Doge, and actually they didn't even make Doge. Doge is something that already existed that they retooled and then renamed Doge. So it's not a new thing. It's just that Elon Musk is now running it. Appointed by the president. It's like saying Tom Homan's unelected. It's appointed by the president. They operate for the president. They do the things that he needs done. He says, I need to see if there's corruption. I need to see if there's waste. I need you to find all the waste, and I need you to get rid of it. And we need to cut $2 billion by 2026. That's what Trump said. He said, Elon, I know you're very proficient. I've seen what you do with Twitter. You fired a lot of people. A lot of blue-haired people left with no jobs. And I was very happy with that. I need you to do the same at USAID and the FBI and the Pentagon. Yes, even the Pentagon, which is actually true. They're actually making an audit on the Pentagon. You like I can just switch from Trump to myself? They're starting to merge. I'm starting to become Trump. But that's actually true. That Trump has called for an audit with the Pentagon, but that's what he's done. It's not that Elon Musk is not elected, and it's just the reason that I harp on that so hard is because the mainstream media, if you don't know what I'm saying to you right now, the mainstream media will have you believe that what they're doing is illegal, and it's not illegal. It's so wild that they're just allowed to look at Trump and just be like, I don't want to listen to you. Nah, we don't want to listen to you at all. No, I refuse. They're like one step away from just going back to 2016 and just calling him an illegitimate president. They're like one step away from doing that. It's just that the vote for him was just so, it was so dramatic. It was so crazy. It was such a landslide that they can't play that game anymore, but they're acting like it. It's just, that was my TED Talk here. Now let's hear about this judge. They actually blocked Trump from putting these people on leave. Here's why.
President Trump from placing on leave some 2,200 workers at the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. Those employees were scheduled to go on paid leave at midnight tonight. A judge acted late this afternoon. Let's get details on this ruling. Correspondent David Spunt starts us off tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening to you. This is a Trump-appointed judge here in Washington, D.C., and he is directing Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the acting director or administrator of USAID, not to temporarily lay off with pay some 2,200 workers. The original deadline was tonight at midnight Eastern time in about 6 hours. 500 workers already on leave at the U.S. Agency for International Development. It was established to provide critical food and medicine to underdeveloped countries around the world. Critics say, though, it strayed from its original purpose and did not align with the president's America First agenda. More than 10,000 people worked for the agency just weeks ago before President Trump took office. A government lawyer said at least 600 people remain employed tonight. Earlier today, an employee covered the USAID sign at the headquarters in Washington, D.C., eventually taking down some of those letters. In one of his first acts after taking office, the president paused all foreign aid, the beginning of the end for USAID. Elon Musk has been a vocal critic. The president, following Mr. Musk, posting this morning on social media, USAID is driving the radical left crazy, and there's nothing they can do about it because the way in which the money has been spent, so much of it fraudulently, is totally unexplainable. The corruption is at levels rarely seen before. Close it down. Northern Virginia Democratic Congressman Don Beyer called Trump's treatment of USAID, quote, an unmitigated disaster, adding, it is already resulting in the spread of disease, starvation, and deaths from preventable causes. Sadly, we know that many of those who die if USAID is not restored will be children. Brett, this was for a temporary restraining order. There will be more arguments on the future of the program next week in front of this Trump-appointed federal judge. Brett.
David, another bit of news out of the courts, a change, if you will. What can you tell us?
Well, that's right. The Trump administration informed the justices on the U.S. Supreme Court that the official position of the government right now is to back a Tennessee state law that bans.
So that is where we are at when it comes to this whole thing. I'm actually filming this at 11:30 p.m., so I'll know in about 30 minutes what happened with that, because the deadline, like they said, is at midnight. And I just want to make sure that you understand when this guy here,
the spread of disease.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. What do I do? Mute it so it doesn't play? Fox has a weird thing where they're like, it has to play for you to see it. This guy says that it's already, anybody who passes away, it will be children, and the blood will be on Trump's hands. This is a ploy. It's just a ploy that they do time and time and time again. It's always about, if it's not about the children, it's about minorities. If it's not about the black people, it's about the brown people. If it's not about the brown people, it's about the trans people. If it's not about the trans people, it's about the non-binary. If it's not about the non-binary, it's about the cats. And if it's not about the cats, it's about the people with blue hair who identify as having brown hair. It's always just about some group that they're trying to sink their claws into and use as a shield for what they're really trying to do. And every single time, and I've talked about this at length when it comes to Saul Alinsky and how people try to gain power, but every single time, if you look closely and listen closely, it's always about money and power. Every single time. Let's move on here. We also got this. Oh, this is about the, no, this is perfect.
And assistance around the world, locking out employees, essentially shutting it down. Members of Musk's team showed up at those offices, demanding access.
The Doge was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking.
This morning, workers warned once again to stay home. USAID has a $43 billion budget, about 1% of what the federal government spends. President Trump says Musk won't do anything without approval from the White House.
Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate.
Democrats warn
Elon Musk did not create USAID. He doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are.
Republicans responding with this message.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
So what is left of USAID is now being folded under the State Department under Secretary Marco Rubio. But Democrats making the point there that it is Congress that has provided funding for the agency, and it would be up to Congress to dismantle it, George.
And Rachel, in Congress today, there are two key votes for President Trump's nominees.
Yes, George, these are two key test votes. One is for Tulsi Gabbard, President Donald Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence. She picked up some support overnight from key Republican moderate Senator Susan Collins. There is another test vote in a committee for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President Donald Trump's pick for Health Secretary. All eyes are going to be on Senator Bill Cassidy. He said he was really struggling with Kennedy's nomination after he spread misinformation about vaccines. We know they did speak over the weekend, but it's unclear if he got the assurances he needed, George.
Rachel Scott, thanks.
Man, you know what's happening. Everybody's getting the talking to over the weekend. That's exactly what's happening right now.
Now to the Trump.
They're going to let you know, like, hey, man, listen, this is what Trump wants. But just going back, the one thing that stood out to me the most in that video, which is why I wanted to play it right there, is this person right here. Can I just, again, have you guys listen to what she said?
We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking.
This morning,
they started taking down pride flags, and she got rid of books that were incriminating. What books did you have up? What books? Was it a Communist Manifesto? It was probably stuff like that. What else could it be? I don't understand. This is my book, How to Screw the Government for Dummies. Excuse me, ma'am. Is that your book? No. Someone got it for me for Christmas. A Republican got it for me for Christmas, actually. I don't even celebrate Christmas. Religion is bad. Is that a pride flag hanging out of your pocket? You don't even remember that you have pride face paint all over your face, do you? Oh, it's still there. Oh, no. What did this place look like? We took down our pride. Everybody had a pride flag up. How many do you need? How many? Doesn't one hit it right? Are you guys good? Don't you all salute one? How many did you need? We had up 56 pride flags. Why? We just all brought one, and then we all brought two. What? How many did you guys have? There's hundreds in the basement. There's literally hundreds in the basement. We actually spent $400 million. We spent $400 million on pride flags. They're all in the basement. And we send them to Africa. Yeah. It's cost about $600 million so far in 2025. In 2025, it's early February. There's literally hundreds, and we've ordered more. There's just skids of pride flags, all in the basement. Very interesting stuff. If we go along a little more, when Marco Rubio talks about this needing to happen, he's not kidding, right? Benny Johnson posted this when he's talking about how what's getting exposed right now. But it's not just wasteful spending. It's in all areas, and this is the most sinister one in my opinion. The fact that Politico got 34.3 million from various government agencies after, well, I won't say that, but they got 34 million. New York Times 50 million from government agencies, including a staggering 26.9 million from Health and Human Services. Why? Associated Press 19.5 million in government contracts and 600,000 in grants from the Department of State, which funding spikes in 2020 and 2024. Hey, no, there's no coincidence. That's just a coincidence, guys. Come on. Routers or rotors, whatever it's called, $9 million from the Department of Defense for active social engineering, defense, and large-scale social... What? No, that can't... No, that can't be real. That can't be real. No way. No. There's no way. 200,000 from the State Department just last year. BBC, a British government TV, steals 3.3 million from U.S. taxpayers, and eye-popping 20 million from Bill Gates. Well, from Bill Gates is understandable, but the taxpayers is just not. So that's one of the huge things there, is that it's also going to media outlets. Here's another place where it's going as well.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats.
Of course it's on double. A strong message to Democrats. This lady cooks. I have to say, I wanted the other one back that Trump had before, but she's solid. She knows what she's doing. She's great.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Wow. Could you just imagine? They're just looking at North Carolina, and they're looking at all the people in tents. They're freezing, houses gone, just wood from old houses everywhere. And they just look, and they're just like, whew. You guys know what we should do? Yeah. I want to send money to Iraq for Sesame Street. That's exactly what I was thinking. Let's go. What? What's going on? I don't want to get too crazy, but you can't like the country. I'm not going to get into the word hate, but you can't like the country, or at least the people, all that much when you're doing stuff like this. And you know that there's people that are messed up. And it's not even like, some people try to make the argument when it comes to like Kensington, Philadelphia, and they make the argument about drug addicts and they do it to themselves. These are people in North Carolina. This is an act of God that happened in North Carolina. California, all these places. And they're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Should we send them a skid of pride flags? No. The African children need those pride flags. That's true. Never mind. Let's go. Helicopter? Sure. They just fly away. It's crazy. The people of Iraq, too. Wow. Oh, my child, you're here. Thank God you're here. My child, he's starving. We need water. How much water have you bring? How much food have you bring? I'll tell you something. We do got a surprise for you guys. Please, my child. He's starving, please. We got Big Bird. Have you guys ever seen Big Bird? We got Elmo. We got Elmo and we got Big Bird, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. And it's kind of funny, but the fact that it's real, makes it hard to make this funny. I'm trying my best, but it's a real thing that they're really doing. But thank God that Trump's actually shutting it down. Like this is that solid movement that people really voted for. They really wanted to see stuff like this happen. This is wild. And the fact that he's called an audit to the Pentagon, that's just, man, there's trillions, man. And we'll see what they actually dig up from that. But this is just USAID. They're already, like, I don't know if you know, but John, I believe, I'll just say Senator Kennedy, he was the person that said, call someone who cares. And he was talking about how next it's Department of Education. And he's right, because they've already started tackling that. I made a video about that. And the Democrats did the exact same thing. The Democrat congressman did the exact same thing. They rushed the place. They brought cameras with them. They did this whole big stunt. People aren't falling for this anymore. I shouldn't say that. There are some people who are falling for it. But as a whole, people are not falling for this. It's too quick to check what's actually going on. And plus, the people that you're talking about are on X and they're commenting. Congressmen have YouTube channels now. Like, it's too much. They can't just make these stunts and then turn to the camera and be like, the billionaire is making it so we can't go inside this building and fight for your children. It doesn't work anymore, man. You got to think of something else. Like just doing your job properly, not worrying about billions upon billions of dollars getting thrown around and just wanting that gravy train to keep on going. And I'll say allegedly because I don't know. But I will say this, okay, YouTube? The president himself wants to know and wants an audit into and wants a deep look into who's getting the kickbacks from all this money. This is not conspiratorial. This is just news, okay? Because YouTube comes down hard on me, man. I don't know. I don't think everybody's getting treated like this on YouTube. I got to be real with you. I don't think everybody's getting treated like I'm getting treated. I don't know. Maybe it's because I show up to the offices. I have nothing but a tinfoil Speedo on. I'm yelling about black helicopters and stuff. I don't know. I don't know why they treat me this way. But Trump did say that. He said he wants to look into who's getting the kickbacks because a lot of this stuff doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I saw a video today. I didn't keep the clip. There's so many clips I see every day. But there was a guy I think he was in Pakistan. He might have been in Pakistan. And there was money that was supposed to go for schools. And he was showing. He's like, this is how we open the door. And it was just a wire. He's like, this is all. We don't have any money. He walks into the school. He's like, the roof caved in. He's like, there's no money for anything. He's like, there's only one school built. They were supposed to build a bunch of schools. This is the only one they built. And he was showing how dilapidated it had become. And he's like, the money doesn't reach us. There was an African guy saying the same thing. He was saying that organization should be shut down because he knows. He's like, the money never gets to us. It stops before it gets to us. So when Trump says he wants to look into the kickbacks, he's not just talking about U.S. politicians. He's talking about everybody involved. So we'll see what happens. But for now, they seem to be trying to operate USAID with just under 300 employees. The rest of them they want to put on leave. 2,200 are now not going to be put on leave, and we'll know more in about 10 minutes because that was when the deadline was. Let me just quickly check if anything actually happened. Anything actually took place. USAID deadline. Let's see if anything popped up. All missions have been ordered to shut down. No. Yeah, so no. There's been nothing. Nothing came up. USAID judge. Now with this channel, I operate a little differently. I never look at my phone usually, but now I want to, just in case there's breaking news that pops up, because I won't see it on my screen. I only have so many things on my screen. But yeah, it's looking like it's just the same stuff. The judge blocked it. There's no update yet, but we'll know soon. And when there is an update, I'll give it to you guys over the weekend. Again, trying to make this channel pop off. I'm trying to bring you guys as many videos as I can. It's just me. I have an editor now, and I'm just trying to get dialed in. I'm trying to figure out how to streamline the information so I can make more and more videos. But like I said, this channel, it's gonna be videos like this. I want to start going live, and I'm not sure how that's gonna look. I'm still figuring out how to do it properly, because a lot of times my lives, they're okay, but they can be a lot better. And interviews. So Sunday, if you're watching this, Sunday, an interview with Eddie Bravo is going to come out. It was on the original channel before, but I want to put it on this channel because I want to start bringing that stuff to you guys here. That is your reward for being the few that actually migrate over to this channel. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It was an interesting talk with Eddie Bravo. It's Joe Rogan, one of Joe Rogan's best friends. Very interesting conversation. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.